Hello everybody. I'm really happy to welcome you on our MOOC Leadership for Global Responsibility. Today's webinar with our guest Klaus Scharmer and the title The Journey Towards Leadership for Global Responsibility. Welcome to everybody. I'm Klaus Althoff, GIZ Leadership Development, and I will be your facilitator today. You learned to know Karen already, who welcomed you in the chat and in the check-in, and she will be in the facilitation team as well and doing harvesting, and we will sometimes take turns, Karen and I. And of course Otto, I think, is sitting in his working room in Boston, Massachusetts, in the US, and waving at us. And I was so delighted to see how people were like dripping in from all parts of the world. So really a warm welcome to everybody of you. So the question is, what is today's agenda? The title you know already, the title of our seminar, The Journey Towards Leadership for Global Responsibility. Today we will start with a little bit like framing where we are, and we will also ask you participants for you contributions all the time via chat, and also at certain points during the webinar, because you know one of the things that really thrill us with our MOOC is that we try to do this as collaborative as possible. It's really you participants that we want to reach and that we want to include in what we do. And then we give the floor to Otto for input of some 20 minutes, and then there's still plenty of time on the one hand to harvest what has been in the chat, and on the other hand again for you to ask questions that Otto will then answer to you. So this is our program today. Can we skip the slides? I'm wondering if there's maybe a technical problem. Okay, we are moving. To give you a little bit an orientation where we are on our leadership journey, because in fact this MOOC is a leadership journey. You know that in the leadership approach that we have developed jointly with our partners, alumni, participants from all over the world, we focus very much on the core, so to say, of the leader, the mindset, values, purpose, something that is very close to what Otto in his books writes, and it shows you already why we are so happy to have him in our webinar today. If we have a look at the next slide, we see the competency domains that we developed from that idea of centering on the core of the leader. You remember that last week we had this fabulous webinar with Peter Senge, and he was sharing 3 main competencies for leadership. He put it like it is like seeing the larger system, it is reflection, it is the creative process from problem solving to creativity. He was talking about the boldness that it requires sometimes to step over the threshold as a leader. And now we try to bring this together with the approach that we have developed in our partner network, and that says for us very important competency domains are, on the one hand, we put it living collaboration, and the second, facilitating transformation. So why? Because we have the impression that we are dealing with problems that we cannot solve on our own anymore, not as persons, not as organizations. Even countries, governments are not able to do it on a bilateral level. So collaboration is key. And it's not about incremental change. It's about transformation, something that we could call the great transformation. The third area would be social innovation. We try to foster inspiring social innovation, because only when we overcome the thinking that the problems come from, we have the opportunity, or we have the chance to go to this transformation that I've been talking about. And the fourth thing is leveraging diversity. We see diversity as a resource. We are talking about international cooperation, and you can also see it from the group of participants that we are all now here in that webinar. It's very diverse. We're coming from all parts of the world, and there's different other things that make us be diverse, following all this topic to reflect about leadership for global responsibility. So, where are we in our journey? The next slide shows it to you. We are right at the beginning. Peter Senge was so friendly to start for us last week. It was still the preparation of the journey. Now we are here with Otto reflecting on how can this journey towards leadership for global responsibility look like. And you see what will happen within the next weeks. Again, you see that there is a close linkage to Otto Scharmer's theory. In our approach, we learned very much from that and made it part of our work. So within the next weeks, we will go stepwise, exploring the outside world, exploring the inner world, and then what we call then enacting the emerging future, or enacting the new. And in the last step, continuing the journey in a way of trying to implement what has emerged during the journey. So this is where we are. And before we give the floor to Otto, I would like to discuss a brief question with you. And I would like to ask you to give your answers to the question via chat. Try to say it in, let's say, 3 words. Stepping over to the slide. The question would be, what do we actually need for our own leadership journeys? What do we need to become the change we want to feel in the world? Let's say working with the image that our life is a journey, that our life as professionals, as leaders, is a journey. What is it that we actually need? Feel free to use the chat and give us some ideas. So it's dripping in. Time, energy, peers, love towards yourself and others, self-awareness, compassion. Now it's like this flow again. Karen, what do you think? Hey, that's really cool. There's more than 100 people now with us in the room, and it's dedication, purpose, confidence, empathy, true feelings, awareness, mind power. I'm just reading as it comes.
Yeah.
It's great, Karen, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. You have time and partners,
courage,
also. Cultivate
respect,
inspiration,
equality,
purpose,
awareness, courage again, sensitivity. So we see it is, we are forming like a network. It's like a source, and it's incredible to see how your ideas, now I see serendipity, courage again, courage, how they spill into this webinar room. And be sure that by doing so, I mean, you really can make a difference also for this webinar. You can see it, I mean, if you could see my face, we can see Otto's face as well. It's cool to see that you are with us in this seminar and that you are like caring about it and that you share your answers to the question with us. So I would really like to encourage you to use the chat while Otto is speaking. Karen will devote some extra energy to pick out some interesting questions that we can later share and discuss or dialogue on with Otto. And yeah, so feel free to use the chat, and those questions which then say again, Karen?
I will do just wanted to say I will do my very best to follow the chat and to find out the questions, and even if I might not be able to see all of them.
Yeah.
So looking forward to many questions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And there will still be the opportunity that you pose your questions afterwards in the direct Q&A session with Otto. So now, Nicola is like giving like a starting statement: open mind, open heart. I heard that sometime. I think it's time to make the official introduction and introduce our guest speaker today, Klaus Scharmer. You all know him very well. He's a senior lecturer at the MIT. He is like the founding chair of the Presencing Institute. And yeah, we all read his books, Theory U and Presence, that he wrote with others. And we know him as the person who introduced to us the concept of presencing, of learning from the emerging future. Otto, the floor is yours. I'm also very curious to learn from you. What do you want to share with us today? Otto, please.